God has a really good plan for you and your life, and He wants to show you what it is, and He wants you to be an active part in it. And I'm going to prove it to you in 10 minutes. Hey everybody, it's Isabel, your encourager, helping you live in purpose through successful habits and confidence in hearing God's voice. So all of April, we are talking about vision. Last week, I talked about and proved to you that vision boards actually work, and I showed you all of my vision boards from the last 2 to 3 years and everything that's manifested on that video. Today, we're talking about that God actually has a very good vision and plan for your life, and I'm going to show you how you can know what that is. Next week, we're going to show you how to make a vision board, and I'm going to show you how to avoid the mistakes I've made and how to actually get your vision board to work the best for you. And the last video will be how you can stay motivated and focused once you have your vision board in place. Also, stay to the end of this video where I have a little challenge portion for you. This challenge is all about growing. So at the end, I have the portion of the video where you can participate in the challenge and also get that free gift. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to say this. I'm just going to throw this out here, that it's not the vision board that makes things manifest. It's not. It's faith. Let me explain. It wasn't the vision board that gave my best friend her brand new car that looked exactly like what she had on her vision board. It wasn't a vision board that gave me all the finances, that I have double finances that I did when I was working and haven't worked for 2 years. It wasn't the vision board that gave me a healed heart or friendships or things like that. It wasn't any of that. It's faith. It's faith in Jesus that He has good plans for you and that He's kind. Vision boards are just the tool. It's the vehicle that gets you to the goal. But I like to say that Jesus is the gas in the vehicle that gets you to that goal. So I want to explain to you that using a vision board is actually super biblical. All throughout the Old Testament, God expresses to the Israelites that He wants them to write it down, inscribe it on their foreheads, or inscribe it on their hearts, His will and His words to them, because He wants those stories to be passed on and He wants it to be kept in memory. So God didn't say, put it on corkboard, but He did say to write it down and keep it in front of you so that you can stay in remembrance. There's a lot of Bible verses that can remind us of this. Okay, so I've been reading in the book of Exodus, and it's so exciting. And when God brought His people, the Israelites, out of Egypt, He told them to make it as a sign on their hand and a reminder on their forehead. The law of the Lord shall be in your mouth, for with a powerful hand the Lord brought you out of Egypt. You know, the Lord wants for you to remember all the wonderful things that He's done for you and to pass it on. So that's one example where He said write it down. Here's another example. You probably heard this one. It says, "My son, do not forget my teachings, but keep my commandments in your heart, for they will prolong your life with long years and bring you peace and prosperity." Sounds good to me. And then He says, "Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck and write them on a tablet on your heart." Oh, and then after you write them on the tablets of your heart, then you'll find favor and good name in the sight of God and man. And case in point, in Habakkuk, after a vision is given, God says to write it down plainly on tablets so that he who reads it may run. So basically, write it down, keep it plain so you can see it, that it'll give you energy, stamina, focus to run unhinderedly. So I would say that it's pretty important to God that we keep the vision that He's given to us, we write it down and we keep it in front of us. I think it's always been that way, and I think it's the same way today. But I've actually done the work for you. I've made a free gift for you down in the description box. It is a downloadable gift that you can see all of the verses and affirmations of vision that God has for you, because I want you to run this race with endurance. I want you to know that God has a will, plan, and purpose for your life. So click the description box, get your downloadable I am affirmations and Bible verses all about vision so you can get started. So when we read the Old Testament, I believe that the stories that we hear about the greats like Abraham, Moses, Isaac, and Esther, and all these people, that they're actually examples of how we can have favor and relationship with God. I don't believe that these people, these greats that we read about in the Bible, are exclusive and that they're the only ones that God wanted to bless. They're the only ones that can have favor in their life. They're the only ones that can talk to God face to face like Moses did. I think they're literally examples there to make us hunger for that we can have that too. And how much more can we have a deeper revelation of God and His will for us, because now we have Jesus and the Holy Spirit too. God wasn't finished talking to people in the Old Testament, and He wasn't finished talking to people and touching people's lives in the New Testament. It still happens today. It's still possible, and it's still His will today. So let's look at Moses, for example, on how you can know the will of God. So let's look at Moses for an example of how you can know the will of God. So I'm falling in love with the story of Moses in the book of Exodus in the Old Testament. And if you're not familiar with this story, I'll give you a brief synopsis. And so Moses always had a desire for freedom for his people, for his Israelites, brothers and sisters. He actually murdered an Egyptian who was beating an Israelite slave because he hated that injustice so much. He already had a vision, a desire, a burning in his heart for justice and freedom for his people. But he didn't go about it with God's vision. And he murdered someone, and then he was afraid that Pharaoh would find out and kill him, so he fled to Midian, I believe. But one day, an angel of the Lord comes and visits him, and the angel of the Lord is burning on the bush. And he turns, and he's like, this looks really marvelous and wondrous, and I gotta turn around and see. And he went, and he turned, and he responded, and he entered into this holy place. And God started to speak to him, and he called him. And when God told him the calling and the purpose that he had for Moses' life, Moses was scared. Bottom line, Moses was freaked out. He was like, God, this is way too big for me. God told him, I hear the oppression of my people. I want you to go down, and I want you to set them free and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And Moses was like, did you forget I actually have a stuttering problem? I'm not eloquent enough for this. I'm not gifted enough for this. I'm not talented enough for this. I don't know enough about this. I'm scared. He's going to kill me. There's too much opposition. But God said, I will be with you. My signs and wonders will be with you. And he brought his helper, his brother, along. And so, not to give the whole story, but I hope that gives an illustration of, one, the way that you find out the vision God has for your life is to turn, respond, and get alone with Him. And I think it's a really great illustration of when Moses discovered the burning bush and had an encounter with the living God. God is the one that created you, and He has a plan for your life, but a lot of the times we're running too busy to hear Him. And I think it will be really powerful if you spend some time to get alone with God and speak to Him and let Him, or just let Him speak first, like He did with Moses, and hear what He says to you. And you can even have a conversation with Him back and ask Him and talk to Him and give Him your fears and let Him tell you what He wants to do with those plans. You know, I always find it kind of confusing, funny when people say, I don't know the will of God, I'm really confused. But we have something called the Bible, and His will is in here. And I have so many verses, again, in the free gift downloadable PDF, on the verses that talk about God's will for us. And then secondly, God's here, He's with us. We can talk to Him literally at any time. He's available. And I had a fresh reminder of this last week when I was guilty and I was feeling confused. I'm like, Lord, I'm not quite sure what your vision is. I was getting confused with comparison and all this stuff and doing it on my own strength. And I told a friend, I was like, please pray for me. But then I was like, you know what, I need to pray for me. So I got alone with God, and immediately He started to speak to me. This is what I want you to do. This is the vision I have for you. This is how I want you to do it. And I asked Him questions. And He's the one that gives you inspiration. He's the one that gives you the strategies. He's the one that gives you the favor. He's the one that gives you the influence. He's the one that puts you in front of powerful people. He's the one that gives it all to you. He's the one. He created you. He knows what He made you for. He knows the passions that are in your heart. So I want to encourage you, get alone with God. Before you write down your vision, before you write down all the things that you would love to do for your life, that's important. But before you do that, go in your room, close the door, find a quiet space. It can even be your car or the bathroom. Find a quiet space and have a conversation with the Lord and ask Him, God, what is your will for my life? What is your plan for my life? Please speak to me. Please lead me. Now, the challenge portion of this video, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror. You can look at the reflection on your camera, or you can look at your screen, but I want you to look at yourself in a mirror. I'm going to wait for you to get there. And I want you to think about all of your crazy, wild, extravagant childhood dreams that you had. Take a minute and think about all the childhood dreams that you had. Maybe you see yourself singing on a stage, singing songs on a stage. Let your childlike mind wander there. And I want you to ask yourself, who put those dreams inside of you? Were they good dreams? So, if they were good dreams, it probably wasn't the devil. Who gave those dreams to you? Was it God? Probably. Was it you? Maybe. Is God for you? Yes. So then, what's the problem? What's the hesitancy? God has a will and plan and purpose for your life. He has plans of hope, prosperity, and future for you. Not of harm and not of trouble. I love you guys, and comment down below if this video encouraged you in any way. It would really bless me to keep going. And like I said, my name is Isabel, your encourager, and listen to God's voice today. Let Him change your life. And I'll see you in the next video where I will show you how to make a vision board. And start this conversation with God today. Get in your quiet place, get in your closet, go to church, go to a worship session, something like that. Start conversing and asking God His plan and will for your life. I promise He will start speaking to you. And as you start thinking, write them down so that we can do the vision board together, and you can put those things down on your vision board. Talk to you later. Bye. Also, really important, whatever God says to you, write it down. You can question it, but don't doubt it. Write it down, keep hold of it, and ask Him more about it. You can also read in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, I believe, for examples of how Moses spoke to the Lord. And He asked him and even gave him all his questions and fears and doubts, but He gave it to him. And he went in obedience. And God literally set a whole people free through Moses in his obedience. So I encourage you, whatever God says to you, it might be wild and out of your scope of imagination, but that's because you have a relationship with an all-powerful God who's way bigger than you, and He's going to do these things through you. So write it down. Don't disqualify yourself, because you have a good, big God with you. He said you can do it. You can. See you next time. Bye.